to say that I was skeptical when, when Lisa Patton suggested doing the Famine Walk online would be putting it mildly. Um, it seemed like an impossible task and almost absurd. But we did give it some thought, and we decided to go with it and to explore the possibility. So so the event took place on the day that it would normally take place in reality in the Louisburg Valley in County Mayo. It was hosted by Rory McKiernan. And of course, there were limitations to it. Anybody who has been on the Famine Walk or has been on any kind of a walk knows about, like, really it is about walking, it's about talking, it's about the experience, it's about being in nature, it's about the camaraderie, about meeting friends. There's all of those things which are an integral part of the experience. And here we were doing that online. So of course there were limitations, but also there were unexpected advantages insofar as, over the 33 years of the Famine Walk's existence, it has built up a kind of a global community, and those people were able to link in and join us, and it was very heartening and encouraging to have people join us from all over the world, including 11 countries, many countries in the global south, India, El Salvador, Timor, and elsewhere. So it was an extremely interesting experience, and there was a great sense of community and participation, and and it was a way of extending out the message. And I suppose that's really the important thing: is what's the Famine Walk about? It's not a thing that we do for the sake of it. It's to promote the issues that we are concerned about, and that all of us here are concerned about. Alongside our Famine Walk, we've done what we call a food sovereignty assembly to explore the issue of food, and that was generally done on the eve of the Famine Walk in Castlebar. We also did another one with Maynooth University. So we did both. We brought those both together and did them online as well in 2020. And again, that was extraordinary, in the sense of the level of participation, the amount of contributions, the amount of people that watched it and took part. But I think, I suppose what I would say is that, and I love the way this is done today, where you're having breaks and music and stretch opportunities. And I think that's very important, that we don't talk each other to death. And there's a real danger of that in the COVID world. When we get the chance to talk to somebody, we can overdo it. We had music, we invited people to send in their experiences of food during the COVID pandemic, and people sent in those extraordinary images and spoke about them, and it was a very encouraging kind of an experience. So yes, so limitations and advantages, but I suppose most of all is the issues that were discussed. Issues like seed sovereignty, like food sovereignty, and I think this is something that's incredibly important, and that we need to realize as a community is that we are losing the ability to grow food, to understanding where food comes from. There's a horrific statistic. I think it's something like 80% of vegetables are imported into Ireland, which is absolutely scandalous in a country so rich in the possibility of growing our own food. And seed sovereignty, we're handing over the seeds, which are the essential element of agriculture. We're handing it over to large corporations without protest. And Claire Reddy spoke very powerfully about that on our food sovereignty and on our Famine Walk event. The issue of racism came up. Donna Vuma, who's on our board, who's a resident of Direct Provision, spoke. And I think that's where the rubber hits the road for many Irish people in terms of how do we respond to this form of institutionalized racism. We have an opportunity now. It's a part of the programme for government to end that awful system, and let's put all our energy into ensuring that that's happening. The final point, and apologies to anybody who has heard me speaking at anything ever, but I can never miss the opportunity to say, to address the issue of militarization, this extraordinary issue that nobody seems to be prepared to touch for some reason. The latest statistics came out that the current annual budget for current annual military budget is in excess of $1,900 billion.
Wow.
Now, if that's not an obstacle to development, I don't know what is. Philip's contribution was absolutely extraordinary, but I would add to Philip's list of priorities that we need to tackle this industry because it is wreaking havoc in the same way as climate change is, and it's a major, probably the major contributor to climate change. So they go hand in hand. So, and that was another issue that was addressed, and I'll conclude on this, that John, linking it to the Famine Walk, John Maguire spoke and said during the famine in Ireland that more money was spent on the military, on so-called security, than on giving aid to the people who are starving. It's a very strong analogy for the world that we live in. It's a glaring inequality, and let's hope in this turning point in 2020 that we will tackle the issue of militarization in Ireland and globally.